Welcome back to another episode of the weekly crypto market recap. This is number 7 now, so we're definitely chugging along. And you
Yes,
know,
sir.
is Icarus of Alexandria here, and myself, AI Zoro. So we got a couple of things that's happened in the last week that's very interesting to talk about. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the kind of proof of stake narrative is heating up a bit.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, I'm not sure, of course, when it's gonna happen, but hopefully at least somewhere around the fall. I would say.
oh yeah,
Um,
definitely. Like we could see like some like them already launching on multiple different test nets. You
yeah,
know, and then
definitely.
testing it out. So we see like the progress happening. So yeah, man, definitely. I hope it's somewhere around September, October, where we see
Yeah.
it move completely to proof of stake.
Do you think there's a prediction market for that?
Most definitely.
Yeah,
It's
probably.
funny. Even Vitalik himself said, I think in a tweet that like the merge isn't priced in yet. So like people are I bet kind of hype about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, definitely. I mean, look, even here, like people talking about like, oh yeah, they prefer proof of work or whatever, and they're just trying to have their own version of Ethereum, sticking to just proof of work, and they think it's gonna work out, but
Yeah,
I
it's
don't.
not. Like
It's
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 not
it's really not.
it's not a debate. Like this tweet says, like it will be somewhat comparable to like Pulse Chain, where it's just like this fork of Ethereum that'll
Mm-hmm.
probably be worth pretty much nothing because you can't fork the entire ecosystem that's live
Exactly.
on Ethereum. Or actually, let me take that back. Like you can, and that's exactly what will happen
Mm-hmm.
with the proof of work fork. But that doesn't mean that it's also worth something. Like the assets that are in that ecosystem are probably not
Right.
worth anything. And I think you
You
also
can't
have
fork
a
the community. Right. Right.
yeah, and also there has to be consensus on a kind of which one is the one we're using, right? Like with these companies, like is explained in this tweet here. USDT, so Tether and Circle, like these companies will just choose one or the other because it will be
Right.
better for them in terms of liquidity. They won't really benefit by saying, all right, we'll have like half the supply on Ethereum proof of stake and then half the supply on Ethereum proof of work, because it's kind of also I guess this network thing where or maybe network is not really, I don't know the term for it right now, but yeah, kind of this network effect, that's the term I'm looking for,
mm,
where
mm.
if enough big companies say, all right, we're going with Ethereum proof of stake, which is probably going to happen in my opinion,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
it becomes more attractive for other players also to say, all right, like the official version of our product we're supporting on Ethereum proof of stake. And sure, like these assets will, in a sense, or not assets, but like the tokens will still be tradable on Ethereum proof of work after the merge, but it's probably not really useful for anyone. So
Yeah. No,
then
it's definitely not.
yeah, what I think will just end up happening is um, because then nothing is, or not nothing, but probably the majority of tokens isn't worth anything anymore, or in the best case scenario, like at least substantially less than on proof of stake. Then the miners, or like them also, people will not trade as much,
Mm.
therefore miners, or not even trading but doing transactions, therefore miners won't really make as much money as they were making before the merge. So I think eventually probably Ethereum proof of work will just kind of stop existing, or maybe stop existing is too big of a word, but at least become way more centralized because it's not really profitable for miners
Yep.
anymore, to run the miners because no one is using the network, so no one is paying fees.
Right. Right. And this guy mentions right here in the second part of his thread, pretty much talking about like this happened back when the DAO hack happened, when they forked you know Ethereum Classic
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah,
But at that point it was different because like there was really nothing built in
yeah,
2016.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, it had less of a network effect then. There
Right.
was
Right.
essentially not really much of a network effect, and I mean, even Ethereum Classic is already kind of a meme,
Yep.
at this
Yep.
point, and Ethereum proof of work will just be more of a meme because like it has less right to exist even because of what you just mentioned, right? Like
Right.
there's now this super big network effect, and most of the apps will just transition to proof of stake. So then you have to ask yourself, like, what is a reason that anyone would use, still would use proof of work? And I mean, there are probably some reasons, but I can't think of any right now, to be honest.
Yeah. No, it's definitely something worth watching to see what happens after the fact because like man, like people even just like thinking that this may be a good idea is crazy. It's like this shows that how much they don't really appreciate for what is gonna happen after proof of
Yeah,
stake and like the developments after that, especially. Like yeah, proof of work works. It worked thus far, but like what they have in mind for Ethereum, it just wouldn't work. That's the only reason they're moving to proof of stake. If
yeah,
it wasn't for any of that, they would just stay in proof of work. So people over here trying to fork Ethereum, keep it proof of work, and then also forking the ecosystem. Them thinking just because they did that, yeah, some people are gonna follow, and even the liquidity is gonna follow, but it's definitely not gonna happen. And it's literally like how you said, it's gonna be dead, just like Ethereum Classic, and they're just going to be both a joke. And I mean, even Ethereum Classic today, it's like there's nothing built on it, and it had enough time to
yeah,
build something, and nobody really built anything. I mean, it's I don't know,
yeah.
it's
It's
interesting.
yeah, that's exactly right. It's not like Ethereum Classic is just like another pop in L1, but just a little bit less popular than Ethereum, right? It's not like Ethereum Classic is keeping up with the likes of Solana and Avalanche
Right.
or anything. It's yeah, like we already said, it's kind of a meme coin, a meme chain in the same vein as Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin
Yep.
and like dinosaur coins like that.
No, yeah, definitely, and I think that same thing's gonna happen to ETH proof of work because of everything we just said, and and like going into like some of the things that Mark mentioned, like people are gonna like they're gonna think that they're gonna make money. Like they're gonna, oh yeah, like he says, like, oh, any position you have in any of the within the ecosystem, essentially, your position is gonna be doubled on this,
Yeah, kind
proof of
of
work.
the same
Yeah,
idea, pulse chain.
exactly the same ID. And people
Yeah,
think like, oh yeah, now you have double the money. Like, no,
yeah.
that's definitely
I
not how it
wish, I
works.
wish.
Right, right, and like everybody's gonna try to sell, and like everybody's gonna try to
Yeah,
sell into the into Ethereum or whatever, try to bridge back to Ethereum proof of stake or whatever, and like at that point it would just be a bank run within
yeah,
the Ethereum proof of work, so it's
yeah. But also, I think if you think like if you think more about that, then first of all, there would have to be a bridge between Ethereum proof of work
exactly.
and proof of stake. And if already the expectation is like all the like hypothetical money from proof of work would be transferred to proof of stake, then like you said, you get a bank run. So how most bridges work is you have some collateral essentially or liquidity, whatever you
Mm-hmm.
want to call it, in the bridge, um, to facilitate transfers between one side and the other side. So it's kind of presenting a bank to a group of potential investors and saying like, all right, you want to put your money in this bank for, I don't know, let's say some APR, right? Maybe 5%.
Mm.
And then you also tell them, yeah, okay, the moment we launch this bank, the expectations of everyone are that there will immediately be a bank run. Like
Yeah.
nobody, no person in their right mind would put their money in such a bank, right? Because then the expectation is already that you're gonna lose all your money. So
Right.
no one would be willing to do that. So I think that would be the same with um, any kind of potential bridge between Ethereum proof of work and proof of stake. Like nobody would be willing to put in their coins
Yeah.
essentially because you know there's like a 99.9% chance you will lose everything.
Yeah. Literally, and like I like how he highlights like the different ways that like Aave on this new Ethereum proof of work system is gonna be worth is gonna lose so much money
Yeah, yeah,
because of like so many different other scenarios like him talking about like USDC or even USDT, they're not going to just double their supply and have it on Ethereum proof of work just cause like it's not going to stay at a $1 peg. It's going to definitely go to zero, or at least like the the supply that's on proof of work at least because like there's gonna be the people that's transacting USDC and USDT currently on Ethereum, they're gonna continue doing so even though like there's gonna be this new USDC or USDT within the proof of work system. They're still
yeah,
gonna be transacting on the old system, and the liquidity is still gonna be on the old system. So why would anybody assume that there's gonna be liquidity on the new system and like these stable coins are gonna stay pegged to a
yeah,
dollar? There's just no way. And like he mentions like how like Aave in the proof of work system is gonna be in a hole just with that $1.7 billion, and that's kind of crazy to think about because like I mean, what would like then that would mean like anybody that had any liquidity in Aave and had any loans in USDC or USDT, what like like does that mean like their collateral is zero, the loan is zero, like
yeah. I mean, it's basically even only thinking about stable coins is already so big, right? Because
right?
you mentioned that basically Aave would just fail, like you said, they would be
Yep.
massively in debt, but also if stablecoins essentially fail on proof of work, then also
Yep.
Uniswap
Exactly.
would be gone. I mean, Curve, especially Curve, would be completely wrecked, right? Like, what are you gonna do with a DEX whose main purpose is kind of trying trading stable coins, but all the stable coins are now
Hmm.
worthless? That's that's obviously not really useful anymore.
No,
Um,
it really isn't.
I mean, yeah, that's I think the strength and maybe also potential weakness, but of having these quote unquote money Legos where everything is just so interlinked. So if you yeah, if you suddenly have stable coins that are completely worthless, and actually you kind of saw that this in some smaller regard, of course, with the whole UST collapse. Like stablecoins are the lifeblood of like a thriving DeFi ecosystem.
Yep.
But I mean, UST was definitely big, but it was still nothing compared to basically like uh, all the major stablecoins combined, right? Like it's definitely a whole different scenario if you're talking about okay, a top 10 stablecoin collapses or all the major stablecoins together collapse. Like it's not
Yep.
just only. I mean, people have been speculating about Tether collapsing for ages now, and I'm not saying it
Mm.
could never happen. That's not kind of the debate I want to go into now. But it's more. of like it's not only then Tether collapsing, but it would be USDC at the same time, and therefore
Right.
also DAI at the same time, and then yeah,
Yeah.
basically all the stable coins collapsing at the same time, and setting off this whole chain reaction of all the major DeFi protocols then completely malfunctioning, right? Because then
Yeah.
also obviously Yearn would be completely fucked. I mean,
Very true.
kind of, kind of to step aside from the stable coins for a second, but if also Chainlink said, "All right, we're embracing proof of stake," then like if Chainlink tokens are not worth anything anymore um, on proof of work, then
Right.
you don't have like reliable oracles anymore. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's true.
then basically the whole DeFi ecosystem is just fucked. Um,
Yeah.
so
Definitely.
yeah, there's just no way Ethereum proof of work can really be sustained as a viable alternative to proof of stake.
No, definitely not. And like I like how Mark mentions all these different scenarios, and then he closes it off with the idea of like, even centralized exchanges are gonna enable the ability for retail or anybody using their exchange to withdraw into the Ethereum proof of work, because they're gonna be pretty much dumping on them, and everybody's
Yeah,
gonna be dumping on them. Everybody that understands everything that we just talked about, yeah, they're gonna shill it like if it's the new big thing, and they're just gonna dump because they want that liquidity. They're gonna extract the liquidity from the retail that are just not aware, and that's what's kind of fucked. I mean, Pulse Chain is essentially doing the exact same
yep,
thing,
yeah, of course. I mean,
but
Pulse
more
Chain,
people are aware of that.
yeah, Pulse Chain, I think is even more absurd in a way. First
Oh
of all,
yeah,
because the, I mean, inventor is not even the right word, but kind of the founder of that, let's say, is pretty much regarded by anyone who spent any considerable amount of time in crypto to be a scammer.
oh yeah,
Um, and then like it's it's so dumb because it's also the way it was advertised. I think it was pretty much advertised as like, yeah, you send what was it, kind of like a sacrifice. It was marketed super weirdly, but like, in a super weird way, but like basically you had to send a sacrifice, is what they called it, I think, of your coins, and then there was this super big disclaimer of like, yeah, and you do not expect anything in return, blah blah blah, you don't expect to get anything.
shit.
um, so it was basically you just sending sending your coins to a random address where you just know you're never gonna get it back, and you just
Yep.
hope you're getting something in return, right? And
Yep.
I mean, it's completely it's completely dumb because who in their right mind would read something like that and think, all right, yep, I'm gonna go send thousands of dollars to an address and hope that maybe one day I get something in return of at
Yep.
least the same value or higher.
Yep. And it's more like if it was like a real builder, like he's just not even on social media, he's just building whatever he's
Yep.
building with sacrifice. Okay, whatever. But he's not. He's just on
Yeah.
social
Or
media, flaunting his wealth in various
it's
different ways. Like,
Gucci.
right, right, right. Like, oh my god, that's so fucking ugly. Like, okay, yeah, you got fucking clothes, you got cars, you got necklaces. Okay, cool. And it's funny because people defend him. It's like, yeah, like he's a shit. And like I look at the comments and the retweets, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what do you see in this man? What do you see that he's gonna like? What is he gonna do? Like, he's not gonna do anything. So what the? I don't get it. It's pretty funny though. Definitely is.
Yeah.
But
What the
I
funny thing to me is that how is he not in jail? I mean, it's so obvious that
Right.
it's a scam that, I mean, there of course there are shitty people in crypto that have been arrested, but
Mm,
like, for example, like the guy who kind of insider traded at OpenSea, I think
right,
it was,
right.
and I think maybe last week or something there was also some guy arrested at Coinbase who had also done insider trading,
Mm-hmm.
and of course that's shitty. And I think, but the thing was with the OpenSea guy, I think it was for such a low amount, right? Like I think he scammed for maybe 80K, which, or insider traded for like 80K or something like that. But I'm not saying it's right, but it's such a low amount that it's insane to go to jail for something like that. Whereas someone as Richard Hart, the inventor of like Pulse Chain and like a hex, it's such an obvious scam that it's
Yeah.
so crazy. Like, how is this guy not in jail?
No, it's funny. It is funny. Like even that guy making that 80K, I think it was just like recently. Like I think in a span of like a couple years, he only made 1.5 million. And you have access to knowing which listings like was gonna like happen on Coinbase ahead of time. You could have easily made way more
Of
fucking
course,
money.
yeah, of course.
And like it's actually crazy. And um like it's I don't know, like it's I don't know. I forgot who was the one that mentioned it. Like and they like I said I
Kobe,
forgot. Yeah, yeah. Kobe mentioned it, and then that's how they pretty much caught on to it. Like
yeah,
Coinbase wasn't like aware of it at all.
yeah, that
No,
was
they
so
seen
dumb.
yeah they seen him mention it, and then they started investigating, and then he got arrested. But like
Yeah,
Kobe mentions that like anybody had access to that information if you knew how to use the
yeah,
API, and
yeah.
like
That was the craziest part. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, that's just another reason I think to learn programming.
oh
I'm saying as someone who doesn't know how to program, but like,
yeah,
yeah, imagine just. I feel like those opportunities are becoming less and less, and I feel
oh
like
yeah,
if you just knew something about blockchains in, let's say, 2014, I knew how to program
hmm,
from then till, and again, like, it's obviously becoming less and less those kind of rare cases, but I feel
right,
like
right.
by now you could easily be a millionaire at the very least.
Oh no, yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I don't know, like it's like there was like it's like the pie, like the overall pie for the
Yeah,
amount of money you can make in the ecosystem is just being split more and more with time. It's
yeah,
not like the pie, and the thing is, the pie is getting slowly bigger, right? With
yeah,
more
yeah,
users and more people creating different things, but at the same time, more people are becoming aware, and they're taking their piece of the pie. So it's like it is growing, but it is still being split. So like, yeah, I can see what you're saying. Like it's gonna get way harder to like get opportunities like that where you can easily like print $1 million, not with
yeah.
much,
I
you know.
mean, there were also like uh, just posts about people then saying like, oh yeah, there was this kind of little I guess you could say exploit in this and this protocol, and they never noticed I took like 300,000. Or maybe it wasn't like a DeFi protocol, or it was a website, right? But that's like, dude, again, like, it's just so easy, I guess, if you know, or not easy. I mean, of course, those things are kind of rare,
Oh
but
yeah,
it does become more easy um, if you know how to code, because then
yeah,
it's
that's
probably
true.
easier. It wouldn't hurt at the very least, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like you're looking at the token contract, you're looking at how like the whole system works, and you could find ways to exploit it that others just cannot see because they don't know
Yeah,
what what they need to know to actually do any of that. And like I agree, even just you know like just trying to do you know like MEV, just trying to make money with
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like there's a learning curve for that. But like I mean, shit. Like if you like, I don't think you really need to know too much programming, but like whatever you like it does require, like even if it's minimal, like not many are gonna go and try to learn it just to take advantage, you know. And but like there's a lot of money to be made with that. But yeah,
Yeah,
that like people are just not gonna try to like learn that end. Like just like how you said like there's opportunities randomly if you just had the knowledge of, you know, like to program and just know how to read different code. Yeah, you'd be able to take advantage. But nobody's gonna like go out and try to learn all that just to hope to find the opportunity to then, you know, take advantage, because they don't see how often the opportunity could come and how useful it can be knowing that information. I mean, it's
yeah,
I mean, I mean, we hear it every day. Like even just like understanding how the space works and just as a user, and just
yeah, yeah,
using, like not many people even go that far. You know, it's
yeah.
crazy.
I mean, I think we've already said it in the stream last week. There was this tweet of like, yeah, you just can't build in this space if you're not also an active user, because
Exactly.
I mean, there's like a million reasons, but one is probably that it changes so fast, and there's also such a strong culture that I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's very hard, even from a marketing perspective, right, to kind of stay relevant. Yeah, if you don't know what's going on, basically.
No, 100%. I mean, even just going into like, you know, Lens protocol and them releasing their SDK or the API wrapper, that allows people to be able to create, you know, social media, different social media
Yeah,
applications, right? On top of this, on top of Lens protocol. And like, if you wasn't using the space, go like on Twitter, on Discord, on Telegram, you wouldn't see a need for this. Like you wouldn't really
yep,
understand like why is Lens Protocol doing this? Why is people building like a decentralized YouTube on Lens Protocol, or even a decentralized Twitter? Like they won't get it. But like, you know, if you do use this, like if you do like, you know, are in the space and utilizing these different decentralized applications, you see how like, you know, some of these centralized social media platforms are a problem. And like I mean, Twitter, man, for example, like it's if you have access to all the data that's within Twitter, and you had an AI, all you needed to do was train the AI on that data on Twitter, and then just prompt the AI any questions related to the data that's within Twitter, and you could already have a massive edge against anybody else. Because like we're just users of Twitter, like we're using Twitter in various ways to like scan for the right data to then make, you know, specific decisions on that data that we consume on Twitter. But like
yeah,
someone that has an AI and access to all the data on Twitter, they could just have the AI, you know, like process all that data, and then you just pretty much prompt the AI any questions related to anything within Twitter, and you could get the answer you need, and you'd be able to execute a lot faster than some of us that's just using Twitter, you know, and like
yeah. I think what
crazy.
is one interesting thing to think about with Lens protocol, is kind of how um, how how would you monetize kind of any social media app, or anything really, on if you build on Lens protocol, right? Because then, like you said, basically um, anyone has access to the data that users generate. Or yeah, I think you could make it in a way where anyone has access to that data. So
Yeah,
then how are you gonna kind of sell to advertisers? Because then, um, or no, you don't sell to advertisers, of course, but like the traditional model has always been, that you sell advertising space to companies. But if anyone has access to the data, then people can just use the data, um, freely. And then, um, I think it would be more, I mean, it depends on the businesses, but I think especially the larger businesses are then just going to probably hire um, kind of data analysts of their own, so they know how to interpret this data, and then they're able to target their own customers, let's say via email or whatever it might be,
Mm,
and they know what their customers want because they have this data. So then, if I guess if the advertising space is harder to sell for something like Lens, kind of how do they make money? I mean,
mm, mm.
it at least has to be enough um, that they can keep everything running, right? Because there's always going to be some costs associated with running something like this.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Like, have you seen The Social Dilemma on Netflix?
Um, I think so. Yeah. Was that the one about basically saying like, "Oh yeah, Facebook and Google bad. They're spying on you."
Yeah, essentially, because like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they
And I mean, I definitely agree. I think it was a
yeah,
pretty
no,
good
100%.
documentary, but it was also a bit like, yeah, we did already know all of this.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
literally.
just more it's just more visualized in that
Right,
documentary.
exactly. Like they the way they have it in the documentary, it shows like each individual user like has their own persona, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And like that persona is slowly being filled in based on the data that's being collected by these different platforms, right? But the thing is like their you can call it their profile is skewed because it's limited because if I'm using only Facebook or if I'm using Facebook and a bunch of other platforms, then only Facebook uh, like like is able to create a
yeah.
profile based on the
Very
data
true.
within
Yeah,
Facebook, and like I see Lens protocol needing to like apply one like AI, one algorithm that is spanning between all the different social media apps that's created. So then it's like easier to just have one profile, you know, for like
yeah,
all the different social media. So then like it's easier to go to the advertisers and be like, oh yeah, we know 100% this specific
yeah.
user profile. You could sell them this specific thing or whatever.
Then it becomes almost more like I think it's this Chinese app Weibo. But anyways, there's and this might be the wrong name, but I think it was that one. But there's this Chinese app where it's basically kind of like all these different things combined into one app,
Yep.
right? So you
Yep.
never leave the app, and then, like you said, the company has even more accurate data on you than a company like
Exactly.
Facebook might have.
Yeah.
Um, and one simple example of that might be if we're comparing it to the way things are now, right? Like, I don't know if you have Spotify, but if you have Spotify, then at the end of each year, they give you a playlist of, let's say, they give you, I think, different playlists, but one playlist is just, I think, the 100 songs that you played most that year.
Mm,
And they of course don't include like things you listen to on YouTube. So then it might
exactly.
be completely skewed because let's say you listen more music on YouTube for whatever reason, then it might not even have included some songs.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
and that's obviously like something that's not super important, but um, yeah, it is, I think, a pretty clear example um, of something where or of a situation where the data is kind of skewed because you don't get a holistic picture essentially. And I think it would actually be interesting if you could kind of make like a more overarching social media as a public good, because I think honestly that not many people would care too much either if there were just no advertisements, or you could kind of do it in a way like Brave.
Mm,
Um,
yep. You opt in for the
yeah,
advertisement
you
portion.
opt in, or if it's a public good, you could do it in some way where let's say 50% of the population doesn't want to see advertisements, right? And the other 50% do, then you could say, all right, we're just taking the data of this other 50% that does want to see ads, and
Right.
then we're just distributing the money that they earn by basically giving their data
Right.
um, as kind of useful data which companies can base their advertising off, and then we're giving them the money that they essentially get from the companies who pay for advertising space. And then you could say like, all right, yeah, we take a small portion of that just for maintenance,
Right.
but
Right.
yeah, if it's a public good, then at least in theory, people could be making money through this. So that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm telling you, like even like the example that you gave, like you watching most of your, like listen to most music on YouTube, like that, like, and you going on Spotify, you can't get recommended anything because all your data is from YouTube.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it poses a huge problem because then like Google could take advantage and like they just create their own Spotify version,
yeah,
Google Music is it, right? And then like the AI is spanning between that too, so like you're gonna get like results like for you using YouTube or whatever within Google Music, and like it poses a huge centralization problem. And like you could see that also with TikTok. Like if you go, bro, if you're in China and you're looking at TikTok, like it creates a profile based on your data, right? And then it recommends you like educational content, like good stuff, right? So you
right.
can learn and all these things, right? Right?
Yeah,
And then,
here it's just girls twerking, stuff like
exactly.
that.
It does
Yeah,
the opposite. Like it takes advantage of the fact that they can create a profile on us,
yeah,
and instead of using that profile and helping us improve, they're just degrading us,
yeah.
and that's
But I
a huge
mean, I don't want to get too political
yeah,
on here, but yeah,
yeah,
it there is definitely a possibility that it's just very subtly used as kind of a political weapon to,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
basically make the Western youth way more kind of
Mhm.
uninterested in more I guess in more beneficial things, right? Like it's
Yeah,
obviously, I think it's more useful to learn. Let's say if you say in China people are recommended educational TikToks, it's obviously more useful to learn any skill than to see someone twerk. Like,
yeah.
sure,
No,
I don't
that's
know if you find that you might find that like amusing or entertaining for a few seconds, but that is not gonna help you in any
it's fucking
way in the
toxic.
long run.
Yep, yep. And like imagine the scenario of like you as a user, you're just scrolling to TikTok, right? You're watching like videos related to people like losing weight or like trying to lose weight, right?
Yeah,
And you're in China, right? You're getting recommended videos of people successfully losing weight, going to the gym, getting like creating these different diets, all these
yeah,
different good things to motivate you to lose weight. And then here you just see like depressed people talking about, oh, I can't lose weight. Oh, I don't want to lose weight. My weight, like my choice. Like you see what I'm saying? Like it's super
definitely. Yeah,
manipulative. Super manipulative,
yeah,
man. Yeah,
yeah. That's sad, and I
yeah,
mean, I hope maybe you know of the like the pendulum theory, where it's kind of the TLDR version is just that if at one moment um, the sort of pendulum essentially swings completely to one political side, then what a
yeah.
pendulum does is it has to swing back at some point. So
Right, right.
yeah, you might get the exact opposite. And I'm not saying like extremes in any case are good or anything, but
Mm,
it would be good, I think, at least if more people started going out more just in
yeah.
nature and instead of just watching TikToks the whole day. And I mean, it sounds very very boomer like, of course, and
It's
also
true
it's
though.
kind of weird to talk about this on a stream where we're always talking about technology and technological innovations, but I also don't think it should be one or the other,
No, definitely
in like
not.
extreme ends, right? But there should be a balance, but I think it's just more that what we're usually talking about, I think, and what we're both excited about is useful technology. And I
Right.
definitely do think social media, at its core, is a useful invention in the way that you can clearly communicate with people super easily. I mean, we wouldn't even know each other if it wasn't
Yeah,
for
man.
social media. So that's obviously super beneficial. And you can spread new ideas way more quickly. So that can be a huge help. But yeah, like we already said, watching girls twerk is probably
Yeah.
not that useful, to be honest.
Yeah, very true. No, like it's yeah, it's like everything, you know. You overindulge. It's
Yeah.
just very bad, very bad.
Yeah.
But like yeah, like all these different things. I look at it as like a tool. You either
Yeah.
know how to use a tool or you don't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good way of looking at things, I think.
And like even going into like this last point about like NFTs and like Nike, like imagine Nike minting like 10,000 like Air Jordan NFTs, and each NFT represents like each individual shoe, and every time someone's buying and selling these NFTs, Nike receives like this royalty fee. Like I think it's pretty interesting because like there is a market like for people trading shoes back and forth, even selling it for profit, buying it like an initial launch day, all these different things, and like it makes sense. Even if it's not like Nike, like like going on OpenSea and just minting a bunch of NFTs. Maybe it could be Nike having their own NFT marketplace or some sort where like people
Yeah.
can go and just mint the like let's just say I just bought this new shoe, just came out today, and I think it's gonna be worth a lot because of history or whatever, the color scheme or whatever. I mint that NFT, right? And now people could buy it from me. And like at any point, like if people, actually want to redeem the NFT and get the shoe, I just send it to them. I mail it to them. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? But like it makes sense with like, Nike pretty much doing it because then they will hold the shoe, but like just the idea of like being able to trade shoes as NFTs back and forth, make profit without even having to hold the shoes physically is pretty cool. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of segue off the last topic we talked about, in this case, like you said, you view everything as a tool, right? In this
Right,
case, NFTs, or being able to mint something as an NFT, or
right.
even to view it a bit more abstract, kind of the NFT is just a representation of the pair of
Yep,
shoes. Then that's just the NFT is just acting as a tool to get more liquidity, for trading shoes in this case. So yeah, I think it's super interesting. The only thing, I think what could not necessarily be an issue, but probably requires a little more nuance to figure out is obviously, like, Nike would not be very happy if everyone just stored, let's say you have a collection, right? Like, I think it says here already, just a hypothetical scenario of like 10,000 Air Jordans.
mm,
So let's say they're completely sold out immediately, and everyone who bought any one of those 10,000 pairs of shoes is just a collector, right? They
yeah.
don't really have the intention of selling them, at least not for a few years. Nike
Hmm.
would not be very happy if they had to physically store those 10,000 shoes, for years, for let's say 5 years, if they already sold them, because that's
Yeah, I
storage
mean,
space that they have to pay for, and that they can then not put other shoes in. So again,
Yeah.
like they're basically they keep on paying for the storage space while they're not making any additional money if people are just only holding on to the shoes. So, and of course, this is a super hypothetical scenario that's super black and white and is probably not very realistic in the real world. But I
Hmm.
think if if you worked at Nike and you were thinking of doing something like this, then you have to take that possibility into account because even though
Yep.
it might not be as black and white as I just presented it, even if you even if you would have like a third of this collection that would just go to collectors who would not want to redeem the shoe, so they don't get the physical shoe delivered,
Yeah.
but they also don't want to sell the shoes. Even
Yeah.
if like 3,000 of these shoes would stay in the warehouse, that's still a lot of space that Nike cannot use, and they keep on paying for it. So
Yeah. No, that's
um,
true. And like, it's not like they're gonna make money because like they're not that collector isn't selling it back and forth, and
right,
then there's
right,
no way for them to make secondary fees. It's just them making
yeah,
secondary fees on everybody else. Yeah. No, that makes a
yeah,
ton of sense.
yeah. So I think there would probably be have to be some balance
Yeah.
of saying, first of all, I think this person suggested that Nike kind of almost acts like a market maker where they get
Mm.
fees for secondary sales. I think that might be a good idea.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
what you also might do if you're Nike is say you just kind of charge the holders a portion of like the storage fees. I don't think that's super crazy because then essentially you're just paying to have the extra liquidity, which is not that weird of a concept. That's I
No, that's
think
true.
that's pretty fair. Or you
Yeah.
might also say um, you might also say like if you want to store or if you don't sell the NFT in let's say 3 months, right? Or and you've also not redeemed it by then then the NFT will just be redeemed for you and we'll send you the shoes because then
Mm.
if you're more of a long-term collector, then it's probably also not that bad for you to just actually
Uh,
receive the physical shoes and then if you want to sell it 5 years later or something, then yeah, you could just sell it on like StockX, which you're moving to now.
Yeah. No, like that. I seen this, in one of the replies, and it surprised me because like, man, the process. Like, I mean, back when I was trading shoes, I would be meeting people at like train stations and all that. It was a lot more risky. But like ever since StockX came out, like you just need to like take pictures.
Yeah,
Someone buys it, or you put a price and someone then buys it at your price, and then you just take pictures, show them, and then send it to StockX, and then they act as a middleman. They give receive the money, and then they send the shoe to the person that paid for it, and then you receive your money. But that whole process takes so much time. And then like StockX, like 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 evaluating the shoe, like it takes so much manpower, and like a lot of the times they make so many mistakes. And like I just see the idea like them announcing like, oh yeah, we're gonna do NFTs and all that. It's fucking great because like it just makes sense. Everything we just talked about, if they implement it in a certain way, yeah, it make them a lot more money. It make everybody a lot more money because then it's like you don't have to wait. Imagine you buy a shoe today and you want to flip it. You have to wait 2 weeks to then get your money.
yeah,
You could
yeah,
just sell it as an NFT, get it instantly. You know?
yeah, and that's the funny thing because I think the way this is presented is kind of like this is almost, I mean, not exactly right, but it's somewhat close to almost like a bartering system.
Hmm.
Just like selling, it's almost like selling things on eBay, right? And it's not
Yeah.
essentially or exactly like a bartering system, but like you said, it's super slow. You either have to go to physically go to the person and get the thing with all the risks that you already mentioned, or at least have to wait kind of yeah, kind of long before you get the item. And then NFTs are already a step up from that. But then things that are actually fungible are even more tradable, right? Because you
Yeah,
don't have to wait for an offer on your specific NFT. Like with shoes, I mean, if let's say you have this specific model of Air Jordan, right, or whatever kind of shoe.
yeah,
I'm not that much into shoes, so I don't
yeah,
really know too much. But then let's say there's an edition of let's say they made a thousand pieces of this pair of shoes. Then
mm,
obviously, if they're all in new condition, no one's gonna really care. If they buy from, let's say, you, or let's say we both have the same pair and there's one buyer and we both have a new pair, they're pretty much exactly the same. um, they don't care as long as we have the same price which
mm,
pair they're getting, because like they're by all definitions just identical. But let's say there's a new collection from Nike where literally every pair is just different,
yeah,
then someone who wants to buy a pair of shoes from that collection, they might like your pair better than mine, and so mine could be harder to sell because just because there's slight differences, right? So I think that's the interesting thing about NFTs is what probably not too many people realize, but you and probably people who are more already into. Um, yeah, I think shoe trading is probably like the perfect example. But what people don't realize, it's way less liquid than just trading crypto or trading stocks, because
yep,
you have actual differences between physical items like shoes. So yeah,
yeah.
that's super interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like even with like board ape yacht clubs, people would pay more because the fucking monkey is gold. You know,
Yeah,
like it's
exactly. Yeah,
you
that's a
know,
super good example. Yeah.
and like even with shoes, like yeah, the color scheme and all that the price may vary, but it's also the size. Like the
Yeah.
more people that have a specific size, the more valuable that specific size for that specific color scheme and pair of shoe would be worth. And like that's where I feel like can be a bottleneck because then you would need like all these right here are all size 10. Oh no, this one's size 8. But you get what I'm saying? Like it would vary. Then like you would need like you would literally need like so many different NFTs for so many different sizes just for that one shoe.
Yep.
And like I don't know, that could be kind of tricky, but yeah, man, I agree though. Like if they could definitely figure that part out, it would be a million percent better. Million percent better.
Yeah. I
But
mean, it's not that it's a kind of this super easy fix or anything, but it's,
right.
if nothing else, at least it's a an interesting experiment.
Yep. 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 Definitely. But yeah, man, you wanna end it off right here?
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good.